This is the Conscious Radio Network.
All right. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. This is Conscious Radio Network's live podcast series of the weekly seance, and I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. If this is your first time, click subscribe, like, share, comment, because tonight we are going to jump aboard another ship. Tonight, our guest. We'll be discussing the pros and cons of the CE5 gatherings. These can be a great way to connect with other extraterrestrial entities, providing they're benevolent. What should we know before deciding to participate in one of these groups? Gloria is a forensic visionary, natural-born clairvoyant and healer, including remote viewing, remote touch, and clairaudience. She has been healing people for many years from emotional, spiritual, and physical traumas through energy healing modalities. Gloria is an award-winning, best-selling author of fiction and nonfiction of 32 books and has performed readings for clients throughout the United States and the UK. She's also assisted law enforcement communities to find loved ones. Gloria writes about her UFO, paranormal, metaphysical, and extraterrestrial experiences in her blog titled Messages. Tonight, let's welcome to the show back Gloria Hass. How you doing this evening?
Hi, Paul. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Awesome. And we are streaming 5 times in a row. Yes. And let's see, someone's chimed in. There's Joanna. Hi, Joanna. There's my girlfriend. She likes to watch the show. Along with
Hi, Joanna.
I don't know how to use YouTube yet. So we're going to talk a little bit about CE5 gatherings. And I every time I bring this topic up or I mention it a little bit, people are like, what the heck is CE5? What is that? A new drug? Is that a new drink? That's something I should be looking at in a grocery store, in the pharmacy. What is that? So we can touch. I'm not sure where you want to start with this, because we're also going to share some of your videos and photos that you have captured over the course of the last month, maybe even more. Very recent ones that is. And kind of look at some of the stuff that you do on your blog and some of the stuff we can narrate through. But let's touch into the CE5. You can explain it, or I can explain it either which way. So,
well, there are 5 levels of close encounters, and of course, the movie that made Close Encounter lame verbiage popular was Close Encounter of the Third Kind. But close encounters of the first kind is where you see an unidentified flying object. They say less than 500 feet away, and you're able to see its shape. And then you have close encounters of the second kind, in which a physical effect, this can be interference, it happens like the functioning of your vehicle or electronic devices, animals reacting, dogs barking, and phones going, electronic phones can go haywire and everything like that. And also some people have a physical reaction to the UFO because of what may or may not be happening, where some people are paralyzed, they can't move. Yeah. Like when I was struck by a beam from a UFO, I was walking my dog and I literally could not move. It was like I was frozen in place. And it was maybe 15 to 30 seconds. And then it was as if nothing happened. And then I noticed another time when I came across an alien portal, I had discomfort. And I had a difficult time with my ears, or I felt like I could hardly move. And that's of, the second kind. Or you can also see the ground is scorched or discolored. So that is what happens with encounters of the second kind. So if you end up with a close encounters of the third kind, that is where the entity is present, which include humanoids, robots, and humans, which seem to be occupants or pilots of a UFO. So then the fourth kind is, I'm reading this because I don't remember all of it, is where a human is your abduction, you're being abducted by aliens.
The
And
actual abduction phenomena.
yes. And then the fifth kind is where there's direct communication between aliens and humans.
Mm. And that's when we initiate the actual contact rather than them going, "Hey, you want to talk?" Yeah. And then the first, the first, second, and third kind originally being documented, or it was actually originally created by John Allen Hynek. It was he created this scale of contact back during his investigations with the FBI, government, industrial, military complex. But he never went past 3. So the fourth and fifth kind are fairly recent, fairly new. Not that new, but I'd say at least a decade or so.
I
Fifth,
know
I know
that
is new.
the fifth kind is back from the 1970s.
Oh, okay.
60s
Wow,
and 70s, because when Steven Spielberg was going to make Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he was given the Blue Book information.
Oh, yeah.
So, but the fifth kind has been around, I believe, for quite a while, because I've been making direct contact since, gosh, close to 60 years.
Wow.
I have to think, okay, 50, however many, 50 something. Well, I'll just say close to 60.
Yeah. Wow. That's been a while. Yeah. So, when did this, before we get into the CE5, the actual pros and cons of it, I'm curious, when did you, if you would like to explain when you started to have your first contact, your first introduction to extraterrestrial race, and what race it was?
I remember after seeing the UFO, I was about 8 or 9. I might have been young. No, because I think I was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
A girlfriend and I saw the effects on the ground of what happened. And then after her and her mom were gone and my mom was gone, I looked up and I saw the saucer and I spoke to it. The underneath side of the saucer up along the treetop. And
Yeah.
I said, what did this animal ever do to you to deserve this? And then I looked back down on the ground and I said, look at the blood you've left, and look back up, it was gone.
Huh.
And not long after that, I would start having little green men. They were the first physical contact I would see. They would come into my room, they would move my bed, they would pinch me, they would stab me with their pinpoint fingernails, and they would bite at me. I would have marks all over me.
Yeah.
And my mom wanted to know what nightmare I was having to have all these marks. And I would scream at night because my bed is moving, come get me, come help me. And I would tell them, leave me alone. I was standing on my bed screaming. My mom would hit the light on and they were gone. They were only there in the dark. And I would beg my mom, please leave the light on. I can't go back to sleep with the light off, because when you turn the light off, they come again.
Yeah. Huh. Now, were these, like you said, the green, were these the what we see as the grays today with the big eyes, almond-shaped eyes, were like the reptilian type?
No. It's a picture of them is on my blog.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, let's bring that up. I'll bring that up. Yeah. Let's have fun. Let's
go up. Yeah.
go to the beginning.
Go down.
Oh, it's that first one. The that one.
No, not that one. That's a gray.
That's the gray.
Those right there.
Oh,
Go down a little bit.
oh, these
Right
two
there.
are the
Those.
four.
Yes,
Okay,
those are
those.
the little
Okay.
green men. That's what they basically
Oh,
looked at.
wow. Those
Yeah.
were scary.
Yeah.
They're like on the back of a car. It looks like they're like touching the back of a. Yeah, no, that's the front of a car or something like that.
Yeah, because I looked at little green men, and these were as close as I could find. They were ugly. They were hideous. They had these really horrible looking teeth, and those what they look like on their hands. What you see in the picture is actually what they look like.
Wow. Let me see. You guys zoom that in there a little bit. Okay. Huh.
And they would laugh. They would jeer. It was horrible.
Yeah. Looks like they're looking at the paint job on an old Buick or something.
Probably want to see how they can scratch it up.
Yeah, good, nice car. We gotta take this with us. Yeah.
Let's engrave our name and put graffiti on it.
Yeah. Now these two right here, these are the two.
The one on the right, I'm told, is reptilian, but I've seen a gray hybrid. One on the right looks like that. And
yeah.
if you scroll down, you'll know what the other one is. I think I can't remember. I think it might be the Arcturians.
Yeah.
There's the Nordics.
There's the the Nordic.
And I've seen one of them.
And
there it is. Oh, they're the hybrid grays.
Yeah, the hybrid grays. Now,
No?
that's interesting too.
Wait a minute. No, go up a little bit, please.
No.
Go up. No, go
up.
the other way. Stop. Whoops. Go down. Keep going. Stop. It's the Arcturians. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Arcturians. Now, see this. I want to kind of make a connection with the Arcturians. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Zoom in. But I want to make a little bit of a connection here with the Arcturians, is because you've got with the blue tint or the blue skin. That's kind of interesting too, because if you look back in some of the ancient texts of the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata and some of the ancient Hindi texts and depictions of the gods and goddesses, they have a blue skin color. So you just wonder, were these gods that they were experiencing this race of beings back then? So
that's because even some of the Pleiades are blue.
Yeah.
And I've done some reading and my research. They said that they can be interspecies, like we have our different, ethnic groups. They have children. That's basically what also can happen with the aliens they have found.
Yeah. Huh. Now, have you encountered any of the reptilians?
Yes. He was shadowing me.
Really?
It was funny because I had a dream and I saw a white reptilian in my dream, and I didn't think anything of it. I just opened my eyes and I said, just go away.
Yeah.
And the next night in my bedroom, I could feel someone was there, and I looked and I could see the silhouette of the reptilian.
Wow.
And I just said telepathically, thank you for visiting. You can go away now. And the next day, within the next day or two, I was walking my dog outside and I thought, wow, my skin on the back of my neck started crawling and the hair started standing up. And I thought, I'm being followed. And I glanced back and there was the reptilian off to my left side.
Yeah.
And watching me and my dog.
Wow.
And I kept telling my dog, let's go a little further, and look back, and then he was gone. Haven't seen him. They're just making their presence known. And That's all is fine. I just don't want to. I've heard horror stories about the reptilians and how physical that they can be.
Yeah. Now I heard that. Yeah. Now this one here is measures 1.7 meters, which is just over 3 feet. So, and then you've got the large ones, which can, I mean, tower up to 6 to 10 feet tall.
Yeah, the one that was following me was about 5.5 to 6 feet tall. About
Wow.
6 feet tall because I'm 5.5 feet
Yeah.
tall, 5'4".
Huh.
Yep. And he was bulky. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, don't show fear. You can walk. You can just be fine. You're fine. Just breathe and just walk with the dog.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised she didn't pick up on them, because usually she does pick up on the entities. And she has seen grays, and she barks and wants to go after them, and when they're going down the street.
Huh. Oh, I was going to look at okay, explore some of this. Let's let's get into the CE5 exploration here. Let me see if I can find some of I've got the media. But before we get into that, before I show some of the media and stuff, let's get into the actual CE5. And so this is becoming a growing phenomenon. And I'm not sure if it's directly connected to a lot of the work and a lot of the documentaries that have been coming out that Dr. Stephen Greer, over the course of the last many years, he's been releasing a lot of information. But also, I mean, the History Channel's Ancient Aliens. You've got all these other spin-off shows with, ancient alien theory and, all this information. And I believe Dr. Stephen Greer, though, did write he's got like a manual, or came up with a manual on the initiation, how to gather, what to do, what the steps are. There's a protocol for it, an actual protocol. However, there are some pros and cons, because it's like when we were first having this discussion, I mean, we must have been on the phone for hours.
2 hours.
That night, at least 2 hours. Yeah. Because something, I was channeling some information. I'm like, whoa, okay, hold on. And then that's when I contacted. It's like, okay, what are your thoughts on this? And that's originally how we initiated this show. And now I want you to explain that some of the things that you touched on, that there's some things about CE5 that we should be very, very cautious with before we jump into something like this.
Exactly. There's some people who do channeling, what they say, channeling of ancestors. There are others who believe that they're channeling the orbs, and they don't believe that they're entities. They just believe that they're dead souls and they're spirits. And there's some people who have never had a bad experience with entities, where some people who thought they were channeling entities, which can be very small, up to the size of a basketball, if not larger, come and present themselves. When you start doing a CE5, you don't know who you're calling on. You may get a reptilian, and they're not very nice. And then some of the grays, we have the nice grays, we have the bad grays, only you won't know who is coming forth when you start doing a CE5 event. And you need to know who you're going to be with, because if you're going to be aggressive and everything, of course the aliens are going to come back and be aggressive. You have to do things very peacefully and very kindly. And if you're going to smart off in your mind, you don't have to say it out loud. They read, you can get zapped with a beam. You can get abducted. You never know what's going to happen. So that's I don't want to instill fear. I just want people to have a respect that it's just like with anybody that you meet on the street, like you, me, or someone else.
Yeah.
that you need to give them, someone from a different culture, give them the respect that they deserve. They're very leery of us and our hostility towards them because media, since the 1920s or and so forth, B movies have instilled that aliens are bad, and not all of them are. So we just have to be very careful about doing a CE5 event. And I would say go with somebody who knows what they're doing and listen to them. Don't just start waving and start doing what you want to do because you feel like doing it. Because once you start getting an alien's attention, you don't know if they're going to keep following you the rest of your life or if they're just going to leave you alone. You really don't know. And they may leave you alone. It might be a one-time event and not, but if you keep showing repeated interest, they're going to say, oh, you're interested. Okay, we'll return the interest. So it really has to be, you have to be really careful about it.
Yeah, you don't want to open up that door. And it's much like, the protocols are much like mediumship. Yeah, a medium might be speaking to spirit, through, your own physical faculties, the clairs. But, this is a physical thing and can be a physical thing.
Yes.
And it, we see all the bad ghost hunting, shows out there. It's very similar to that. If you're gonna walk into this as a bully, they're gonna possibly show the same disrespect to you.
That's right.
So, and not only that, they know you're at the bottom of the food chain, so to speak. We're just roaches, and they're going, oh, they're trying to contact me. Wonder what I'm good. Oh, okay. And if they are that, if they are the malevolent type, yeah, you never know what they're gonna do. They're going, okay, we have an experiment coming on. They're just volunteering.
Let's wait a week or so and see if they're really serious.
Yeah.
Because they don't always show up. Okay, they keep coming. So let's just go ahead and see what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna bring up on the screen some of the media that you wanted to share with us tonight, and let me bring up the first one. I'm not sure as to what order that they're in. They just came up in an order that I think the videos are actually closer to the end.
Okay, this is actually where that's actually a UFO right there, that round thing right there. And it's white and it blinks on and off. And sometimes it'll change color with a little red or stuff. So when I took a picture, I think that one was taken out back on the east side of where I live. And it stays up in the air at night. Just
now, for those who are watching the show, these pictures are not really going to do justice.
No, they're not.
So yeah, they're not really going to do justice for the viewers and stuff like that. You'd really have to kind of like, get the media files and and kind of zoom in a really dark room.
That's why I put the arrow there so you would see it. They go, are you sure that's not a solar flare? Oh, I'm positive, because they show up about this time at night, and by 8 o'clock they're leaving. You can watch them go away.
Wow.
Go to wherever they're going to go.
I'm going to go to the next slide here. Okay. So
that was taken at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That's
interesting.
This
is closer to the horizon too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's on the west side. Yes, that's the west side in the morning. This was in response to a request that I had. And I don't encourage anybody to do this, to be quite honest. It's because of my long history with the Greys. Mm-hmm. And I said to them, how come I've had a UFO everywhere I live watch over me except here? 3 weeks later, this one appears. with another one. So there are two up there. And every morning I say, thank you, God, for keeping my dog and I safe as we go for a walk. And they watch over me.
Huh.
And I had one of the women, one of my friends in the building, he's just hovering in the sky. What time? 5:15 in the morning. I said, he's waiting for me to come out. Well, it's just really cool.
Yeah. Now this is the same. It's
a different one.
This is a different one, but do you think this was the same object? It was just returned?
I don't know, because this one's only out in the morning and this one's red. And the other one was white. So this one is more of a red cast.
All right.
It's red and white. The other one is just strictly white. So no, it's a different one.
Okay. Now this one was also taught. This is on the 6th of this month. Now you really can't. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in a little bit.
You can see how it moved when I took its picture.
Yeah. You can see a little bit of a. Okay. Yeah, you can see the streak. Yeah, it did a jump. It like jumped a little bit. So being a still photo, you can definitely see that it did a jump. So.
And I had taken a few steps, and then because it follows me.
Yeah.
Huh. And I stopped, and I took the picture, and oh, you moved.
now, how far do you think this object was as far as distance from you?
About 5 miles, 4 or 5 miles.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for people who don't know or not familiar, that you're out in Arizona.
Yes,
so
I am.
Pretty flat. At least in the area that you are, you can actually see a pretty good distance. So.
Yes, I can.
So.
On the east side, I can see, if I stand on the east side of the building, I can see quite a ways over to the east side of town, past Central and east side.
Okay. Now let's see, what is the next? Oh, there we go. Now, it's a little interesting. So here we got a little bit of it did a little bit of a jump too, like it was kind of sounding like a whale sounds in the ocean that just made a dip. Dipped towards the ground. And this is a white one? Yeah.
That's a white one.
Yeah, it's a white
that
one.
was at the back end of the building. And I looked at the picture and I was talking with Em. I said, I must have moved. She said, no, you didn't move. I watched it move. I went, okay. Yeah. I was like, okay, good.
Huh. Wow. And now let's see. This is also on the 6th. This one,
That's the same one. That's the same one.
Okay.
It was moving a little more.
Yeah. So it's like this one looks like it's zigzagging.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was because first when it made the dip and then it started zigzagging with this, because I took a second picture right away.
Yeah. Huh. Now, here's the good one. This is the I think you took this on the 17th, which was just a couple days ago. This is the cigar one.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Now, the interesting part about this was I looked up about the cigar-shaped.
Yeah.
And it was originally seen in Hawaii, and the Hawaiians named it Umu-u-mu-u-mu-u-o, or O-mu-u-mu-u. And they first thought it was an asteroid, and then they claimed that it was an actual comet. But and it's cigar-shaped, and they believe that it's not a spaceship, but it's supposed to be from a different star system, completely another star to visit our solar system. And that's what they confirmed. But they're also saying that it's no longer in our solar system. It's no longer around Earth. Then where's this one coming from? Because it has a base, and I watched it as the sun set. And usually if those are clouds, it would turn red from the sunset, and it didn't turn color at all.
Oh, wow.
So I'm wondering if some of these aren't more than, from a different, from a comet or an asteroid, because we're talking about downtown Tucson with this.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Hold on. I'm trying to somewhat Google something. Yeah, I'm trying to pronounce the name myself. Yeah, Amamoa. Amamoa. Yeah.
I saw, yeah, it was O mu ah mu oh yeah
Yeah.
o mu
Amamoa. Yeah.
yeah, that one, the O one,
It's a
the O word.
it's a tongue twister. Yeah, I remember hearing this quite a few years ago. Yeah, George Norrie was
2017.
talking about it, and Clyde Lewis was talking about it, and yeah, a lot of the scientific was talking about it at the time. Yeah. Let's see. Now we've got. I think this is
I
this is
believe
an
there's
actual
sound
video.
on the videos. I was talking during part of it.
So let me play the video here and see what we got here.
You can see it blinking and going through.
And it's right here.
Yes. And then it will disappear, and I moved in closer, and there it is. And it's red and white. But I had my window open, and as close as this is, there was no sound. So I knew it was not a helicopter.
Huh.
But then I have seen it completely disappear, or it will hover. It hovered over this one building, and then you can see it moving now. That one red blinking light is from the building, and then the other one it's going back now.
Yeah.
And I've seen it completely disappear and show up a completely different angle, and then show up again, and then completely go back and just show up again. I've seen it disappear.
Yeah, right there. Let's see. It's good you had a witness with you.
And poof, it's gone. Oh, there it's back again. No, it's completely gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Man. And that was, let's see. Oh, okay. Those were the ones from the 6th. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, the 5th and the 6th. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go to the next one here.
Now that one was moving right along. It was cruising. It's trying to, get in more, just to get. And I'm wondering if that's not the same one that was there before, because like I said, this would just go ahead and it stays around the same area, and then it will go north along the mountains.
Yeah. Now I'm sure some of the listeners and some of the viewers out there and stuff like that are going, okay. I mean, we've got our own technologies out there, and we've got aircraft and stuff like that. Now, as far, where is are you close to an airport, or these are aside from other flight patterns? Because a lot of people, like even where I live, I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff in the sky, and I know for a fact that's not an aircraft, because that's not a flight pattern, especially at night. The commercial aircrafts do not fly that in this particular area. So what stood out as far as not only the flight patterns that it was making and stuff in the sky and stuff, but what differentiated, because you can barely see any detail in the videos, but what can you kind of maybe reiterate in some of the videos that kind of can take out some of the doubt that some people might have with their viewers tonight?
Well, I was curious as to what was going on, and I went ahead and I can look out the window and I would see it, and I said, okay, I wonder if that's an airplane, because I would hear it,
Yeah.
or a helicopter. I opened up my bedroom window and there was no sound. So I went, okay, it's close enough to where I would hear the sound. And I even asked my friend M another night when we saw 4 of them.
Wow.
And she said, but we would hear the sound of them. 3 went one way and 1 went back the other way. And then the 3 took off and then the 1 stayed and hovered.
Yeah.
And when I first started watching them, they would come from, it would come from the east side, southeast side. And I thought, well, maybe it's an airplane, but an airplane will go up. These don't, they stay lateral. When they reach the designation, they stay lateral. And then I thought, well, is it a drone? But no, because it's the drones are smaller and would make more noise. And would have a different pattern. So I was watching them for a while, and then I got it on video because I hadn't, it was like when we scheduled this, oh, I'll just go ahead and get it on video now. And I had been watching their patterns, because if it is a helicopter, then why is it repeatedly each night going north along the mountain range?
Yeah. And it's not making a sound. A helicopter, you're definitely going to hear it.
Right. And it was going across, and I noticed it started cutting across through the north area of downtown. I'm trying to to picture it. And then it would go over to the mountain range and go. One night I saw it going south, and then it turned around, went straight up north on the mountain range, and it would do that a couple of times, and it does that repeatedly.
Yeah. And then how many times in mid-flight it would just stop? And then kind of just change position and go another way?
Well, one night I watched it and it stayed there for like 10 minutes one night and hovering, and then it would take off, and that night it would blink and then it would just go away. And another night I saw one that was white. I'm thinking, okay, then there was the red one, there was the white one, and the same patterns. And that one would hover for a few minutes, go over to another place and just hover. And then it would go over by this one building. And I'm thinking, well, it's close to the hospital, but it's not a hospital, but there's a mountain range behind the hospital. And it would just sit there.
Yeah.
And then it would just take off or disappear or go straight up.
Wow. Let me bring up, because we've got two more that way that I've got here on. Well, wow, there we go. Oh, come on. Is that it? All right, let's play that one. There, it's right there.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one that follows me. I was giving a point of reference as to where it was.
Yeah.
As to there's the light, and then here is this one. It's similar to the one that I showed before. And I was walking, and then I was shaking. And then it was like, well, this isn't going to do.
Yeah.
And but I was showing a point of reference as to here I am farther down, and here where it's moved. Because if it was a stationary object, it would still be back from where I walked. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, let me see. Where was that point of reference?
Because the moon, when it's up in the sky, doesn't follow me.
And let's see, this is 37 seconds, I believe. Oh, come on. Where are you? Play. There we go.
And here's the other point of reference where I'm farther down the street and it's above a different building. I think that's the hospital building. That might be the one that I was talking about with it hovering.
Yeah.
Does that one say poof and it's gone? One of them does. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's that one.
Yeah, I think it may have been the first
Yeah.
one here. Yeah, that was the one that was. That one. Here we go.
There's the 3 of the 4. You can see all the lights going.
Yeah.
Those are all the UFOs.
Huh. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I have fun
Man.
where I live.
Yeah. Man, now, how often does this happen around you? Is this a nightly thing?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Now, how many people do you know that actually talk about this? I mean, is there like you go to the grocery store in the morning to pick up, your coffee or something like that, or at the Starbucks early in the morning, and people like everybody's got, did you see that light show last night? Or, it's like because I would assume that this is like the talk of the town, that this happens, or is it not everybody's really paying attention?
People probably pay more attention to their phone than they are anything else. And
Oh yeah,
I live 60 feet above the ground.
yeah.
So at night, I like to look out at clouds and storms. And when I first started noticing the lights, I'm like, let's see how often this happens. And I've always been, a stargazer and watcher, and now I have this. No, when I was speaking with M, she had not even known that it was happening, and I would call her and say, hey, let's schedule this for another time. And I went out there and I said, are you out here? She goes, are they there? I go, yes, they're waiting for you. Come on. But they're probably out there by now, but around 10, about 7:45, 10 of 8 my time, they start moving and leaving.
Huh. Now, I also wanted to show this. This is on your blog. This object.
Oh my gosh, that is a picture similar to an entity that came into my bedroom.
Whoa.
Through the window.
Yeah.
And scared the bejeebers out of me. But I went to reach for my phone, and that was what first came through was a round white entity about the size of a basketball.
Yeah.
And then I closed my eyes. I'm like, okay, am I just seeing these things? And then I saw light come through the window again. And I opened it up, and this one was next to it. Oh. And they were like communicating. I was a little scared, to be quite honest. And then I went to reach for my phone to take a picture, and they both went right through the window at the same time.
Wow.
And left. Yeah. And that was the other one, similar. Yeah, it looks similar to that, the white entity, but like I said, the size of a basketball. Huh. But the one I saw was wider, like the one.
Now, this is interesting. I like this one when I saw it. Or can I zoom in? There we go. I could see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is over your building? Or actually, no.
That one is similar to the one that flew over my building. It was V-shaped and it had red lights though. This one I saw, I couldn't move. I was in paralysis. I went to reach for, I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't move my arms. And I'm like, oh, come on guys, let me get a picture. And come on, let me move. And they're like, they were making their presence known for a specific reason, which I found out what it was later. Yeah. And no, it flew right directly over my building. I I noticed some red lights because the blinds were closed. And it's weird how they communicate. They're like, what's that out the window?
Yeah.
And that's what hit in my mind. And I opened the blinds up, and there it was, just flying. And I opened up my window, and there was afterwards, after it had flown a few feet. Actually, I think I may have had my window open already, and there was no noise. And yeah, I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Wow. Let me see here. So these are the entities that mainstream everybody is familiar with.
Right. The Greys.
The Greys. So now, this being a nightly phenomenon, I guess it happens all night. I mean, I'd get tired after a while. They're like, oh man, I got to take a nap. But there's times, especially on the weekends, I see you're up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, my time. So, or 3 o'clock in the morning, and 5 o'clock in the morning. So you're what,
2 hours right now ahead of you.
You're 2 hours, because also Arizona doesn't observe.
No.
Yeah.
We stay on the same time.
But so I would assume you kind of make this a nightly thing.
Well, if I have a rough time sleeping, or I can sleep 2 hours and then I'm wide awake, I'll go and look and see if anything is out there. And usually I don't. It's usually in the early, like the cigar-shaped one was like 20 after 5. I believe it was 17 hours. Yeah, that would be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That would be, around 5.
Yeah.
And the others are usually start about 10 after 6, and they're gone by 10 of 8 o'clock at night. They've moved on. And then in the morning, when I go out early, then the other 2, my guardians, are out there in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel says him and his wife have done a CE5 group in southern Arizona, because he's out Fort Huachuca. That's for anybody who doesn't know about Fort Huachuca, that's the military industrial complex. So you are going to find some interesting stuff in that area. So Joanna says she saw something similar to that in Kansas back in September. She went up to Kansas, and she didn't tell me about that, or did she? I don't remember. Which is, I think, probably, which one is it? It's that. Where is it? Let's go down there. This one, right? Yeah. There. That's a really cool photo. Now, this photo was actually captured from a passenger in an aircraft, in a commercial aircraft. So that's cool. Now, I'm still trying to think of the pronunciation of that word too. The Hawaiian one. I used to be able to pronounce it like that, and people are like, "How do you say that?" I'm like, "I don't know." I heard it so many times. Heard it so many times back in the day when it became it was just really big on the news, or the other mainstream media. Because there's some letters in there, when they're put together, it sounds differently, or it's pronounced differently. But okay, yeah, I'm looking at the chats. She said she did. She told me about it. Sent you a pic, and I've gone mostly about time. Okay, yeah, she was taking some pictures. Gonna have to send that to me. Definitely. I like pictures. Whoa. Get some aliens. Now when it comes to the CE, now I'm assuming that a lot of people like to do these groups and get into working with groups of people, now with the CE5, groups that you do, I wouldn't say groups and stuff. What's the smallest? I mean, have you ever done groups, or like you and the neighbor?
I just do it on my own and with
You and a
because
dog.
I wanted to see him, so it's just
Yeah.
the two of us.
Yeah.
I don't believe in charging for them. That bothers me that people will charge for these. Now, if I'm going to drive a distance, I mean, Stephen Greer, Dr. Greer, he charges for his groups as well as the other. And to me, this is a natural phenomenon. We are given this to us freely. And I don't believe in, because you don't know if you're ever going to have a result, because one night you might not have a result.
Yeah.
And other people are going to say, wow, I wasted my money and stuff like that. And no, I wouldn't do that. There is a young man who lives in the building that one morning I saw him when I was coming out, and I waved, walking the dog, and I waved to him. And he goes, what? Because he wanted to see him. I said, hey, you want to see him? I pointed to one. He goes, yeah. I say, look over to the left of the building. He goes, it's right there. And he's saying the guy goes, that's really cool. Now,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to charge anyone $50 or $100 just for
Well,
them
I
to
know.
look up in the sky and see a UFO and stuff. But when I make alien contact, what I do ahead of time is I ask permission. Like the Cigar-Shaped took 6 weeks for me to see it.
Oh,
I
wow.
sent a request out and it came around 6 weeks later. Like for my guardian it took 3 weeks. And sometimes answers are right away, but I have a very different relationship than somebody who is having a CE5 event for just having a CE5 event. I'm a hybrid. I'm a starseed.
Yeah.
I'm here for a purpose. And I communicate with them regarding that purpose.
Yeah.
I've learned to come back into that information. I've gotten mouthy to them. You don't ever want to do it. It's like, can't you just leave it? This is before my memory. Can't you just leave us alone and go away? Wham, went the beam. And it was very interesting that I don't remember where I went. And I asked them recently what happened, and they showed me that they had beamed me aboard the ship, even though my physical body, I was in 2 places at once, was still walking my dog.
Yeah.
And no, and then, I came back and I could see through walls.
Wow.
And I asked them today, why did you have me see through the wall? And they were trying to jog my memory, because when a multidimensional body comes into a linear body, a lot is lost in the process. So then you have to start. Some people have an awakening earlier than others. Some people, like me, I was in denial what happened in my 20s and everything. And it was just really strange. And it's really taken me up until October of this year to fully embrace it, because they were sending me messages. I was choosing to ignore them until I started writing my book. And it's like, well, let's get on board here. And I said, can you please bring back my memories? And I started what I thought were dreams was actually different things. So my relationship with the aliens are completely different than, like, say, for you or Daniel and his wife and anyone else and Dr. Greer. So that's why I would not want to lead a CE5 event, because we're looking at entities that I have been working with for my entire life. I would not want anything to happen to them or with the people I'm with, especially if the people I'm with decide that they're not going to follow protocol. I would not want anyone harmed.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets really touchy when it comes to the respect, because it's respect to them, and don't want to cause harm. It's especially here on this planet. There's all this liability. You're liable if something happens to somebody, or you do a group and somebody disappears. I haven't heard of a case of that actually happening, or if they haven't published it, but somebody in the group disappears and doesn't return. What
Yeah.
what do you do then?
Yeah, you're open for lawsuit. Your
Yeah,
police will come
yeah.
and want to know where's the body is hidden
Yeah,
and
exactly.
everything.
They're gonna be like, "Where's the body?" I'm
I
like,
don't
"I don't
know.
know."
Poof, he was gone.
Yeah. Uh, I've had my most recent one. I don't even remember it. And I was here at home, and this is probably about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, maybe more than that. And a friend of mine said, "Well, this is how you connect." Okay, and I did it. I tried it. So, what I did was I did a meditation. It was just before I went to bed. I was laying down and I used my third eye, my crown, used the crown chakra and the third eye chakra, and envisioning the connection between my third eye chakra to the Pleiades and to the Pleiadians, and establishing that connection and calling out and just calling them and just envisioning that connection.
Mhm.
And they beamed me up. They took me like that. And I don't remember where I went. I'm not sure how much time. A few minutes have went by. And then suddenly I come to, I'm laying there and I had complete amnesia. I had no idea who I was, where I was, when I was. And it was scary. It was like coming out of a really nasty surgery of being put to sleep but not knowing anything, like who you were or anything. And that amnesia lasted, I'd say probably a couple seconds. Have you had anything similar to that?
Well, let me just say, if they want you to remember, they will let you remember. Yes, I have, thinking that, well, that was a weird dream, and
Yeah.
or or yes, recently I was okay. I have this glass, and it was filled with water sitting on my nightstand. It was completely filled up to here.
Yeah.
And when I woke up a few hours later, it was a quarter half full.
Whoa.
And it's like, what happened in 2 hours? I don't remember drinking it. Was I in two places at one time?
Yeah.
What exactly? And I've had that happen on a couple of occasions. And I don't know what happened.
Wow. Yeah. I'd say the next time that happens, document. Well, if you maybe video record, try to do some video recording and stuff like that before you lay down.
I didn't even know it was going to happen, though.
I know. Yeah. I think the next time I try it, I'm gonna hook up a video and let it run and just let it hope for the best. See if it captures anything.
That'd be great
Yeah. Yeah.
if something showed up. Not that
If
I want
something
you to be
shows up, and if
abducted.
something shows up, they're gonna mess with the video. They're like, "You ain't gonna record that. I ain't gonna let him." You.
They can stop your recording.
Yeah, they know everything. They know everything. They can pick up on all kinds of stuff. Yeah, but I'm surprised they're probably not even, maybe even listening to the show tonight. So,
Well, they probably are. And we're not having technical difficulties tonight, if you noticed.
and they're wanting us to share this. Now, if it was the other way around, meaning if it was the other people, we'd have all kinds of issues.
Yes, we would, which we have had.
Yeah. Have you ever encountered the Men in Black?
Yes, I have. I wrote it on my blog article. I can't remember if it was last year or this year. It was during the summer. And I was walking my dog and I felt like I was being watched.
Yeah.
And I turned around and there were the Men in Black with the big eyes, and nothing like you see on TV. They sort of looked human, but then they looked like the Anuki with the big round goggle eyes.
Yeah.
And they were standing in the street and cars were going by. And I kept walking the dog, and this happened a couple of times. And I would watch them, and they actually watched me. I could see their heads moving. And the only time they disappeared was when this big, huge delivery truck came barreling down the street. They were gone. But when the truck went by, they were back in the middle of the street.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, do you think they were kind of keeping tabs on you?
Probably curious.
Yeah. 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 It's, yeah, we were going to take, is my phone still on? Yeah. We could do the show some other time next year. But I just wanted to let everybody know, to our listeners, that this is the last show of the year, and the last of the hour shows, because we're going to be reducing our show time down to 30 minutes rather than an hour. So people are like, oh my God. Well, smaller videos actually get much more views and stuff like that. And but we can still cover, and it breaks our shows up. So if this is a 30-minute show, we would do a sequel, next month, and then a sequel, and break things up, and it gives us more content, or the opportunity for more content. But as far as this discussion, what would be the takeaway that you want everybody to kind of the takeaway for everybody tonight for tonight's show, for CE5 events, or any experiencers for extraterrestrial, or those who might want to experience it?
We don't know what the future brings, and we need to be kind, like we should be with one another. Be kind with the extraterrestrials, live in peace, and actually be in peace with them, because they may have a message for you to, tell the world, or they may save your life one day. And, it's like, don't just be nice to someone because you want something from them. Be nice so we can be kind and spread that harmony through the earth and out to the stars.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got to treat everybody with respect,
Yes.
regardless. Just because, like I said, just because they're bottom of the food chain, that we shouldn't have, be showing respect. But now they're at the top of the food chain, so to speak. I mean, their technology is a lot more advanced than ours. Who knows what their capabilities are? And if our own military supposedly is disrespecting them, we're lucky. I just feel that we're lucky that they just didn't snap and they didn't have a bad day, on any, that particular day they had a bad day or something like that. And, they were just decided to nuke us. So.
Also, they come in different shapes, sizes. They can look like large insects. They can look like a large cockroach, praying mantis. You've already known about the reptilians.
Yeah.
I've seen one that would probably be over a couple 100 feet. So you never know. So, be respectful and just know that you can encounter anything at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that is our show this evening. Gloria, thank you again for sharing your stories, and
thank you.
Keep tabs on us. We'll do the same. And just start, continue capturing some footage. And if you have some other upcoming footage that you really want to share and stuff like that, or you feel that's safe to share, more than welcome to do it on this show, and we can share it with you. And if there's any other stories from any of our listeners or our viewers tonight, send us an email right down there below, www.consciousradionetwork.com. If you got a story you want to share, you got some media you want to share, we're going to put a page up for listener and viewer media. Well, if we could talk about this later, but if you wanted to share some of these photos and stuff like that, Gloria, on our website, a very specific page that we're going to build for specific topics from our show and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Other than that, Gloria, thank you again.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into Conscious Radio Networks, the weekly seance. And like I said, tonight is the last show of the year. We will be back on Monday, February 9th with Ed Hubbard talking about
January 9th.
January 9th. Boy, where am I?
They're messing with you now.
Yeah, I know. They're going, What is February 9th? Maybe I need to look up that date. I don't know. But anyway, January 9th. Stay tuned. We will be back on the air January 9th with Ed Hubbard and some pagan stuff, some really cool pagan stuff. So anyway, other than that, thank you for watching Conscious Radio Network. And until then, we will see you next year. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Yule or Happy Yule. And most of all, Happy New Year. Say bye-bye to 2022 and in with 2023. Thank you, everybody. You have a good night, Gloria.
You too.